Sweet Caroline, ba ba ba. Good times never felt so good. I'll be inclined, ba ba ba. You love to see it from the Golden Boys. It has finished at Vicarage Road at the Watford Stadium. Watford 1, Nottingham Forest 0. Another win over the line. It's just lovely stuff. And nervy in that second half. But at the end of the day, we will take that. Gladly, we will take that. Because it has given us a second win on the bounce. And we're into second. Lovely. So let's go through that game. Give man of the match, good performances, key chances in the game, and ultimately the result. Watford 1, Forest 0. Whew. It was lovely, it really was. So let's pick out the details in that performance. We really did have to go into this, just try and grind it out, and I predicted Watford 1, Forest 0, and that's what it was. I know my team very well. Very good to see another correct scoreline there, but the most important thing was the result today, and we got that indeed. And with Brentford not playing this weekend due to their postponed game against Rotherham, we really did have an opportunity here to put on the pressure for Brentford and get our win, deal with our game and keep the pressure on. And we did just that against the stubborn Nottingham Forest team. So to start off with, on 5 minutes in that first half, an absolutely wonderful cross from Kiko Femenia. That guy is a quality player. One of the players of the season, no doubt. He's been a defender, but looked like a winger because of his quality of cross and his pace and speed that he has on the counter-attack. But really good ball in. And it's basically for Andre Gray. He just actually does really well, Gray. The positioning is perfect. He pulls off the marker and caused the defender a little bit of an issue because he doesn't know where he is. And then has the header. And it's a strong shot. A strong attempt, but unfortunately the header is straight at Bryce Samba, so it's fairly comfortable for him to just save it, reaction point blank. But we did, of course, have another moment down the other end in the same minute. Anthony Knockart, we know he's dangerous on the break, and luckily he did skew it wide. It was a bit of a miss kick from him, and we'll take that at the end of the day. At times in that first half, you saw Andre Gray and you thought, unlucky, because he's doing most of the right things, but just at times struggling to hold the ball up and, trying to basically start our counter-attacks and keep the ball for us. But he just was getting a bit unlucky today, trying hard, but not quite getting the end result. But then a wonderful Sarr winning the ball back, just showing the hunger and the ferocity and the passion for this club. It's beautiful to see from Watford in general in that first half. We looked really up for it, looking like we were wanting to really make a statement today. In terms of our performance, it was much, much better in terms of intensity. And when Sarr wins it back, he really nicely slips it in for Andre Gray, who actually does well, shifts his body, takes it well, and you're thinking, all right, let's start a shot. Let's try and get into some space and shoot. But unfortunately, he just stopped and was wanting to return the favour to Sarr with the pass, but it just was too short, unfortunately, and then Forest cleared it away. So, yeah, that was a, quite good opportunity there. You thought that could have been used to our potential, but it wasn't to be. Then 16 minutes in, Adam Masina, really nice control to bring it down from a very good pass, sprayed out to the left-hand side. And Sarr then gets to it, and basically it's a shot that Samba does comfortably save after the ball was put across the box by Masina. Just doesn't really hit it properly, the Senegalese winger there, but, still very good build-up from Watford. And very good Watford tackling from us today. We just looked very eager to get stuck in and really did get very good, possession back off Nottingham Forest. And that was started really through really good tackling from Philip Zinkernagel, just showing the desire to get there. And at times, Zinkernagel maybe overcommitted with a few of his tackles, and he did, of course, get that yellow where he just completely swiped the legs of James Garner. But ultimately, I'd rather see that eagerness to impress, the eagerness to win the ball back and, get it off them. I'd rather see that than players not going for challenges and just pulling out. It's really good to see that kind of desire in the team, and especially from a new boy, Philip Zinkernagel. But then the goal came for Watford on 17 minutes, and it was actually a really good finish, and especially from a defender, that is what you love to see. His last goal was scored February 2020, and it was the last Watford game that I went to before lockdown started. Adam Masina against Everton when we lost 3-2, but this was a win, and Masina with a goal, and to be fair, he measured it pretty well. He got, a little bit of space out on the left-hand side. He had to just think carefully how he was going to control it and then shoot, but just stroke it really, really well, hit it hard, and it's his first of the season. He's been pretty, half-hearted a little bit. I wouldn't say that, but more a little bit hard to predict his performances recently, and is not, been amazing, but it was much, much better from him today, and it's a nice moment for him to score the goal, and you could see what it meant for him, just, really happy with himself. And it was really a deserved lead for Watford after just a really high press, high energy start to the game. Super from Watford. So they warranted that lead, and just the work rate there from Ismaila Sarr to make that goal is brilliant. Just really running at that Forest defence. He was an absolute wonderful avenue for us in the game, just terrorising that left-hand side of the Nottingham Forest defence. Guyton Bong just couldn't stop him, and ultimately he just kept on pushing, kept on believing, and really got past Bong, puts the ball into the box, and originally it was for Andre Gray. The goalie, Bryce Samba, just punches it away and kind of collides with Andre Gray, which means he needs treatment after we score, but it does come out to Masina, and through the legs of Bryce Samba, we'll take that, but it's a decent finish from a defender. Then, of course, it's just a few chances for Nottingham Forest, and we defend fairly well. Generally, going forward, we just showed great, hungry intent, and that's what you want to see in every performance, because then you will feel and believe that you can win against big teams. Now, Christie put in a cross, and we know he can cross, so we gave him far too much space to do that. But Sarr was hoping it wouldn't go into his own net. He kind of swung a boot at it to try and clear away, but didn't actually make any contact. And luckily, there was no Forest player in there to feed on the cross, so it went out for a goal kick. But yeah, could have been a little bit of a moment of panic there if it had been a slightly better ball into the box. And then Sarr, we know he's got the pace, and I think in that first half, he was probably our man of the match, because everything was happening on that right-hand side. He was just taking on players with pace, with strength, and we are a little bit reliant on him, I've got to admit. If we got an injury to him, it would be a disaster for this team, because, he just allows us to start the play, and we're reliant on feeding it into him, but he's just a quality player, and the more he can play at this team, and the fact he's knuckled down and kind of shaken off any interest from other clubs buying him, is really good to see, and I hope we can keep him. But if not, he's certainly made the most of his time at Watford, and this season has really been good to see him settling into Championship life. But 27 minutes in, we have a corner. Philip Zinkernagel whips it in, and it's a decent chance, to be fair, for Joao Pedro. When he looks back at that, he'll be disappointed he didn't at least test Samba, but it's one of those bouncing balls that you kind of take first time to try and catch the goalie out. But he has the volley. It is hit over the bar on the bounce. So, decent chance, but more of a half chance, I guess you could say. 31 minutes in, we couldn't clear our lines, to be honest, and it was a bit nervy. But luckily, Gravinovic eventually gets it, and it's good Watford pressing to kind of give him little space, and then he does sky the shot over. It's interesting because people like, of course, Ken Sema and Sarr on the wings, they are working well, and you know, Semmer, he's so strong. He shields the ball so well. And we've seen that time and time again this season. The fact that Semmer gets to the byline and tries to get in the cross, which is really good to see. Because it encourages players in the box to then go and attack it. But to be fair, we had another winger that looks very, very good that came on late on in the game. We'll talk about that very, very soon. 38 minutes in, of course, there might have been a bit of a shout for a handball from Joe Worrell. I don't know if this is, but it kind of bounces off his leg up onto his arm. Maybe it's a harsh one, but it does, of course, get dismissed. And then Forest came on a little bit at the end of the first half. Watford, we were just looking to try and see out the first half, but we were looking decent, and I think we were probably the better team. There's no argument in that first half. As it stood, we were in the top two, and we wanted to keep that going, but you felt as though in the second half we needed to just get the second to put it to bed, and ultimately Masina, he's a very good player. He's physical presence in the box, and defensively that's really useful because a few times he made really good headers away from danger, and I remember that one, I think it was Worrell coming in, but he got the head crucially to clear it away. The second half rolls around and you think, okay, let's keep up this tempo now, let's try and drive home our chances. But what do Watford do? Well, we flutter, we really do start to decline, and it's nervy because we just do sometimes play into other teams' hands with our misplaced passing, our lack of chances. It is hard to keep up intensity for 90 minutes, I understand that, but it would just be nice if we did it more often because then we don't let teams back into it, and Forest did have a sustained period of pressure on us. 51 minutes in, a great Zinkernagel ball. It's in behind, very well threaded through for João Pedro, but unfortunately the man coming back today from his suspension could only hit his shot straight at Bryce Ember. And of course Pedro did, of course, pick up a yellow card. Puts him onto 4 now, so he's got to tread carefully because another one and he will get a 1-game ban, if I'm right in thinking. I'm not sure if the 5 yellow card thing is passed now, but as far as I know, he would miss 1 game. So yeah, it's a shame to see him picking up silly yellows, but we know he's still a quality player, and yeah, he had that chance. Maybe he could have scored on another day. 56 minutes in, an amazing cross from Kiko Femenia. That guy is quality. He just puts it into the perfect position, and this surely has to be bread and butter for a forward, and you've just got to attack it and really get all purchase behind it. But it's such a well clipped in cross, the precision there is perfect, but how Gray hasn't got a full connection on it, I don't know, because he's got the right position, he's clever to just sneak in behind the defenders and get there, but he just kind of mishits it, hits it with the outside of his foot or the, instep of his foot, doesn't really get hold of it, and it's a brilliant opportunity that unfortunately passes up for Watford. So you thought that could be one we come back to regret. But generally in the second half, it was just a bit disappointing. We were a bit more ragged in our play, not as fluent in our attacking, and certainly not as fluent in our passing. Just too casual at times, especially around the back, just giving it away, and that sloppy play is not what you want to see, especially when you're trying to protect a lead. You want to drive home the opportunity to just calm the nerves, and we were just making it even more nervy for ourselves, which could have really had Forest a way back in if we just hand them some very, very silly mistakes. So yeah, not as much tempo to our play in the second half, and that was going to be a difficult one to see through. But at the end of the day, the defenders got hands to deck. They got there. They showed the commitment. Searauta and Ekong, probably the best 2 centre-back pairing, and they just got a few headers in at crucial times. And, with William Troost-Ekong, he's a good player, but he still does give me a bit of worry. Like, when he's on the ball trying to clear it, he doesn't do a Cathcart, which is get it out at all costs, and then he also doesn't do a Searauta, which is spray it out and maybe, start a counter-attack. With Ekong, he's a very good player for us, very physical and very committed to the team. But his passing is definitely dodgy, and it's something he's got to work on. But luckily we got through that, and we were able to not present Forest with too many chances. 66 minutes in, there was a very scary moment where Anthony Knockaert just gets the ball and they spread it out wide well to him, and he just cuts inside. And when you see him cut inside, you're scared, because we know that he's got threat. We know that he can like to bend in and have a shot, but it's a spectacular effort. Hits it really hard and just really against the ball, its angle. It just cuts across it, and luckily it drifts just wide of that left-hand post. I don't know if the goalie there, BACHMANN, was going to get to that, but ultimately it's still important for him to be in the right position, and it did just miss the post. 72 minutes in, and a chance for an unlikely player of Guyton Bong getting in the box. Now, Guyton Bong and Ismaila Sarr had an interesting game. Of course, they had to go up against each other. Now, a few times in the first half, Bong just completely took out Ismaila Sarr. Probably should have got a booking, but didn't. And then a few times, Sarr kind of tried to get back at him by making a little silly foul. But ultimately, Bong is not known for his going forward, and we weren't there to mark him, unfortunately. But fortunately, it was just a bit of an unorthodox header in the 6-yard box, and he tries to get a bit more purchase on it, but doesn't really get in front of it, and it is headed wide, so fairly comfortable for BACHMANN to see it out. BACHMANN, in terms of shots faced, didn't have a lot to do, so that's encouraging, but, when he's called upon, I'm sure he would be fairly good at that. And then the moment of absolute fear where my heart dropped into my mouth, and that was 74 minutes in. The substitute CAFU, he just goes for it. He just gambles. He goes for the shot, and it's fairly far out, and it hits off Will Hughes, and it is inches from going in. From the angle I originally saw it, I thought, that's a goal. It's definitely spun in the most cruel of ways, but it actually just went over the crossbar and nearly dropped in at the post, but went over the bar instead. It was just looping, and you just hate those kind of ones because you don't know where it's going to go, and you don't think that the goalie's going to be able to anticipate it. And to be honest, I think BACHMANN was probably beaten there, but we were under the cosh at that point, and that was just a demonstration of our close shave in the game. But ultimately, we just about did enough, and there was another chance where they put a ball in from Anthony Knockaert. He's got a good cross on him. Very, very testing for our defence, but a really good header from Troost-Ekong to clear it away and battle it out of danger. So that's enough at the end of the day. And we tried to stop the likes of Forest getting back into the game, but ultimately I think the second half just didn't quite fall in our control. We weren't really dictating it too much in that second period. It was more just trying to stop the momentum of Forest imposing themselves on our defence. With our subs, we brought on SANCHEZ for his debut. Good to see him, and good to see him fighting for the badge as well. He got a few good tackles in, just trying to calm down the defence, I think, in front of that back four, and got some good strength showing in there. So that's good to see. Hopefully he can, be really a nice cover in front of that defence. And we also made a sub where we brought on Joseph Hungbo. Good to see that he's getting the opportunities. He's a very bright prospect. We also did, of course, bring on was it the defender, or who was it? Did we make 3 subs or 2? I can't remember now, to be honest. But Andre Gray obviously came off, and I think that was for Sanchez. But ultimately, Isaac Success came on for a very rare appearance. He hasn't barely had many times in this team, and mainly because of selection, but also mainly because of injury. And with Isaac's Success, he's not a great footballer. I think every Watford fan knows that. He's certainly had a rocky career at the club. But in the Championship, he's got strength. He's got pace. Has he got much else? Well, maybe not. But I still think he's a body in the team that could help and could maybe hold up the ball where Andre Gray can't. I don't know. But he came on, did what he could. Ultimately, it was not comfortable in that second half. It wasn't a comfortable win in general. The good attacking play of the first half just ebbed away, and it started to spiral a little bit out of control. But good to see BACHMANN not having to do much, and today it was all about getting it over the line, all about that result. Less impressive performance from us in the second half, but, you know, it was about the 3 points today. And so nice from Ken Sema. You know, he's got great ability on him. I mentioned his strength earlier on in the review, but the skill in 77 minutes, he just gets one touch on it and then flicks it over the defender and then drives. He's so fast and very clever play there. And he actually goes for the shot. He cuts inside with the fake and goes for it, and it's blocked, unfortunately. And then it falls to Philip Zinckernagel. He does well to open up the angle, but then he fires it over. So, yeah, another chance there for Zinckernagel to score. I thought Zinckernagel had a pretty decent game. Despite his yellow card, you know, he looked eager, he looked hungry, and he looked quite good on the ball. And then Troost-Ekong, obviously we've said about his passing, but I think his heading was making up for that. And it was nervy today, but we'll take that. You know, second in the league, that is massive. And to get a second on the bounce as well is going to give us that much needed momentum. So in terms of man of the match today, it's tough. I think it's between two players, Ismaila Sarr and Adam Masina. Now, Sarr was absolutely wonderful in the first half, not so much in the second, whereas Masina was actually really solid most of the game, scored the goal, of course, and defensively was really very confident and committed to the cause. So I am tempted to give it to Masina, but I'm just going to give it to Sarr based on how good he was in that first half. He's such a threat for our team. He's such a key part of how we play, and he was just causing Gaitan Bong so many problems and twisting him inside out. Let's say Sarr is man of the match today. Just to finish off, we had a couple of chances, but they were kind of half chances. 85 minutes in, beautiful play from Hungbo, the substitute, just really willing to, you know, get good fouls, get good free kicks and wind down the clock like Watford want to. But also, when he gets the ball, he's very useful with it and really good dribbling and puts in an excellent ball. And it's just unfortunate that Sarr couldn't get to it when it's put across goal. But then 87 minutes in, they have a chance themselves, Nottingham Forest. It's kind of pinball in the box and we need to clear it. But it falls to Garner, the ex-Watford man. He scuffs it wide, relief. And then we, of course, get saved by the flag, and that ends the game. You know, it's a right decision. It's definitely the right call from the linesman. He's done well to see that, but I was worried because, you know, it's another mistake from William Troost-Ekong, and yeah, it's a great finish from the substitute Lyle Taylor. I was surprised to see him not start, but I guess Glenn Murray is starting to get more game time under Chris Hughton. But yeah, it's just one of those ones. It was a narrow one. It was the right decision, and it was a collective sigh of relief for those Watford fans. So that was Watford 1, Forest 0, my match review. Hope you have enjoyed. If you want to give a different man of the match, make sure you comment that down below. And we are second in the league. Sweet Caroline. Ba, ba, ba. Now we've just got to hope that Swansea somehow lose to Middlesbrough.